You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Got my crimson-colored glasses on today and my JPC investigative hat to come in here and try to investigate a way to be positive about the future of Alabama and Kalen DeBoer. And it seems like old Kalen DeBoer is taking a page out of Ohio State's playbook in order to be successful in this crazy landscape that we call NIL and transfer portal. And that's what buddingly great coaches do. When they see that maybe their way is antiquated, they go out and they look at what their rivals is doing and are not ashamed to maybe take some pointers from them. And it looks like Kalen DeBoer, that is, has done that as well. Just like the great Bear Bryant did back in the day when he realized that his offense had become stale. He went and got pointers from Darrell K. Royal of Texas, and even closer to now current times. Nick Saban didn't want to do the up-tempo, said he didn't really like where it was leading college football, but he acquiesced, and he went out and got a guy by the name of Lane Kiffin, who personally he really didn't like. But business-wise, he knew it was the correct thing to do. And it looks like Kalen DeBoer has also taken that cue. Now, let's give you the 4 horsemen shout-outs of the day. They go to Killer Breeze, Big Stat Kelly, Kathy Clark, and Sigma. Now, let's talk about it. Kalen DeBoer is building his Alabama football roster in Ohio State's image. Kalen DeBoer is copying the 2024 Ohio Stank formula and building his 2025 Alabama roster. Much has been said about the amount of money Ohio State spent in putting together its roster. Some reports have indicated they spent as much as $20 million to put together what is likely to be a national championship team if they can beat Notre Dame in Atlanta on January 20th. And they're heavy favorites to do so. Most people assume that Ryan Day, the Buckeyes, went heavy into the transfer portal to build the roster, which couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, Ohio State only signed 7 players out of the portal. They struck gold on 4 of those with Caleb Downs and Seth McLaughlin from Alabama, who is the center at Alabama that everybody tried to blame for all those losses, when in fact we're now seeing it was Jalen Milroe. But where Ohio State really spent its money was to retain its own roster. Retain your own roster. Hell, that's a novel idea, right? Retain your own roster from last season. Spending enough money to keep guys who could have gone pro in college for one more season. NFL should take notes here. The NFL is getting screwed in this. Some Alabama fans have been disappointed in what Alabama's done. The portal, the Tide has only taken 7 transfers, the same exact number that Ohio State took last season. So what Alabama's doing here, what they're alluding to, as we scroll on down here, what Alabama is focused on instead of retaining the top talent, what Alabama has focused on instead is retaining the top talent on its roster. Instead of going out and getting transfers, don't let your guys transfer. Keep them there. Instead of having to replace them, keep them. Why ain't anybody else thought of this? Alabama spent money to bring back guys like wide receiver Jeremy Bernard, C. Parker Brailsford, defensive lineman L.T. Overton, nose tackle Tim Keenan, defensive backs Damani Jackson and Keon Sabb, and linebackers Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson, among others. Alabama also signed the number 2 recruiting class in the high school ranks in 2025, including 5 stars quarterback Keelan Russell, offensive lineman Michael Carroll, and cornerback Dijon Lee. Does that sound familiar? It does. It's the exact model Ohio State had. So, for all those Alabama fans out there jumping on Kalen DeBoer already, might need to think maybe he was playing a little possum this year. He knew that he was going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit this year because he lost his offense coordinator, Ryan Grubb, at a time of the year where you really don't want to lose your offensive coordinator. And now it looks like you might be getting Ryan Grubb back in some capacity. So there's a good formula. Go out and get you a few cherries. Go out and cherry pick, like Ohio St did. Then after you cherry pick about 6 or 7, keep the guys on your roster who are going to transfer to another team and hurt you. Like Alabama should have done with Caleb Downs last year. Go in there and re-recruit your guys, the ones that are the best, the ones that other teams won't. Throw that money at them instead of throwing it at guys who don't know your program and are going to be completely new. Sounds like a great plan to me. Sounds like something I should have figured out a long time ago. And every one of us should have figured it out. But Ohio St, to their credit, figured it out first. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Those are the big four and all absolutely free. You can also join the Outlaw Posse, get your badge, get deputized, get a random 4 horseman shout out like those guys just done earlier, as well as possibly the comment of the day on the actual podcast. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.